Welcome back, everybody. This time for the fourth time. Guys, this is what happened. Last night we were supposed to start at 8:30. And then we ended up going live, or we thought we went live for an hour. We spoke about a lot of interesting stuff. And then I look and I see the sign says go live. And I was like, you're kidding me. We did not go live this entire time. When we tried again, and one of the batteries died. Oh, and before that, by the way, one of the lenses broke. So it was very eventful. And then just now, we forgot to turn the sound. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're putting in my food these days. But,
it's not the food, man. It's the Yetzer Hara doing its work, man. That means we're going to cover some powerful stuff.
I guess that's what it is.
So we're back on.
Yeah.
So we got to do the intro. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you for joining. Smash that like button.
Subscribe. Share with your friends.
That's right.
Yes.
And hopefully you find this informative and
entertaining. I thought we had to switch it up. What happened?
Yeah, we did do well. We had to go back.
Okay, do you remember the name of the Parshah?
Ki Seitsei.
Yeah, Ki Seitsei. Very good. All right, you got it. Fine. So the pasuk starts with the
woman that you desired, that you took captive.
Yes. And but what's interesting is that it says like this, that when you go to war with your enemies and you capture and Hashem is good. It says, and Hashem will give them into your hands. It's like a promise. So the Rebbe explains that Ki Seitsei Milchama, it also applies to the spiritual war that we have. And there's two types of war. There's a war of prayer, and there's a war of studying Torah. And Rashi mentions that there's two types of war. There's war that you are obligated to go to war to defend, and there's war which is not an obligation. It's war that, for whatever reason, you feel it's necessary, whatever for that time the nation or the king feels it's necessary, but it's not imminent. It's not there's not an imminent danger or whatever it is. And that's the same thing with prayer, where prayer is this really it's a fight. When you go to pray, there's a lot of things that can distract you. You have to, it says shas krava, that the time of prayer is a time of war. But it also, and then there's also the type of war that's more easygoing. It's not this time of danger where you're always being attacked by thoughts, and that's learning Torah. But the Rebbe says that in the pasuk it says that you are going to be in sure victory. It applies to the spiritual war, that when you go into war and you have trust in Hashem, and you go with the intent, you're going to win this war, and you have the right frame of mind, you do the right preparation. So then you're going to prevail.
Okay.
Whoops. I just started the intro, which we didn't start. So he said, so then you're going to prevail. So I just thought it was a beautiful thought, that we're ensured victory. What was the next thing we were talking about? Talks about
the mitzvah of giving and get when you go into...
So we spoke about having two, if someone's married to two women.
Okay.
You remember what we said yesterday?
Yeah, we were saying that you cannot force your wife out of a marriage unless you have a valid reason.
We're going to take a commercial break. Where's my... here, 1 second.
Commercial break.
No, I'm just kidding around. Okay, so basically like this. Yesterday I think we mentioned... guys, there's someone looking at the window. Totally caught me off guard. Oh my god, that was funny. when I...
Yeah, of course. He was here just on Wednesday.
What a funny dude. Okay, let's get into this. So, we're talking about war, right? So there's a story in the Gemara, and this has to do with the question of if there's war, should the leader of the community, should he leave? And should he go to a safe place where he can pray for and do what he can for his community, or should he stay with his community and do what he can from there? There's a story in the Gemara that Rabbah and Rabbi Yosef were running away, and Reb Zera sees them running away and he laughs at them. So you see already there was a difference of opinions on what should be done. There's a story with the Ned of Yehuda, I think his name was Rabbi Cheskel Lowy. I hope I'm, or Rabbi Cheskel Landa? I can't believe I forget. I think Lowy was, that was, I don't know. Anyway, the Ned of Yehuda, he wanted to leave, and the board, the people in charge of the community didn't let him. I don't know what it means they didn't let him, like why couldn't he just go? But in that case, he obviously wanted to leave. They wanted him to stay because of the merit of having a holy person in their midst. They thought that with his merit they would be saved and it would be safer for them. But that's one thing. And then we even have, it's really sad when we see the incredible Mesiras Nefesh, incredible self-sacrifice that these people had during the Holocaust. There were two Rebbes. It's just an example. There were so many more who didn't run away and stayed with their communities. You had the Slomer Rebbe, who was about to leave, and his community begged him not to go, and he
When you're born, aren't you already predetermined? It's already predetermined for you on where you're gonna die.
My brother's on the comments saying that he can't hear us, but I think we took care of that. I hope we did. Say that again?
Delayed?
No, it's for sure delayed. Question is, I wonder if there's a way to figure out. You want to see it on your phone quickly? Be able to tell? Sorry, guys. This week is we're having some difficulties. It also could be. Oh no, there's more. There's more messages.
Okay.
I think that. Oh, yeah. That's fine. It's fine.
Fine.
Yeah. I was just a delayed thing. I didn't see all the comments. Okay, so. Yeah.
Yeah, we go. Yeah, we go.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So. Anyway, the Slum Rebbe wanted to leave, and his community asked him not to, and then, he ended up, being killed or killed being murdered by the Nazis. He actually writes that he regrets nothing. He regretted not, like he thinks it wasn't the right thing, but he had to stay with his community. And then there's also the Karliner, one of the Karliner Rebbes, and when he went to Eretz Yisrael, the Rebbe of Sadigir wanted him to stay, and he said, I can't leave my community. And when he got back, they took his family, they rounded them up with him, and they all were murdered al Kiddush Hashem. And then a day later, so was he. But people might wonder why I mention the Holocaust so much. A lot of the shows I do, I think it's something that we shouldn't shy away from as a topic, even though it's very sad. We should know the history and understand just how insane what happened was.
Well, we have halacha, and the halacha says that you're not supposed to go where the ruins are, the destroyed city or any ruins, because you're putting yourself in danger. And you're not supposed to put yourself in danger for no reason. So, does this not apply the same way? If you know to stay in the city would be very dangerous for you, are you not supposed to do everything possible to save your life?
So, right, that seems to be the most, right? But I guess in this case there was a question, if everybody could pick up and leave, they probably would, right? Obviously this is a situation where communities, people didn't really believe, is this really happening? If everybody knew that Jews are being taken, they're being killed, and they knew enough in advance, people would have gone. And you have stories of people who literally didn't believe reports that were coming, that they're taking people, they're killing them, and then people were like, you're crazy. People told, they didn't believe that this thing could happen in Germany.
Right. So that's why I say that by convincing a leader, a rabbi that so many people look up to, by convincing him to stay, that kind of discourages people from leaving, and you're putting more people in danger or more people's lives in danger by convincing him to stay.
Yeah. So I mean, hindsight is 2020, right?
Right now it is.
Like it's very easy to see now.
Really knew, yeah.
But yeah, definitely the right thing would have been for everyone to just pick up and leave. Now, something a little bit similar, which is there's a question: does it make sense to leave and try to save your life if there's, let's say, a plague or if there's war? If at the beginning of the year, we know that at the beginning of the year Hashem decides who's going to die, who's not going to, right, who's going to live, who's going to be healthy. So then, what's going to happen if you run away? You're meant to die. But there's many rabbis that bring that really there are certain things that are not necessarily set in stone. For example, when it comes to plague or war, that doesn't necessarily determine, that not necessarily is determined at the beginning of the year. Now the question is, how is it possible? I'm not sure, but maybe you could say that everybody who lives in a certain place, it's decreed upon them that there's going to be a war and there's going to be a plague, and based on if whatever their choice, they can either be saved or not. I don't know. It seems that it's a good thing to take action, and in general, like we just said, right? If you never should just sit back, right? The Torah says, so
take action. Do
yeah,
something.
Exactly. If you're able to do something about it, then you're obligated to. And now we get to the part that we mentioned before, which is
multiple wives and ketubas.
Yeah. Multiple wives and ketubas.
Great title, right?
The clickbait of this one was why God is monogamous. Why is God monogamous to the Jewish people? Which we really know why, but there's something special that is highlighted. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So, first of all, we mentioned yesterday that everything that Hashem made prohibited, He also made something similar that He made, that He allowed for us. For example, we can't have...
Curious.
What?
It's for the curious.
For the curious. For those who like to explore. So example, like you're not allowed to have pig, but there's a fish that tastes like that. A certain bird you're not allowed to eat. There's also a bird that tastes similar to that bird that we are allowed to eat. There's a bunch of things on the list I'm forgetting. What did we mention yesterday? Oh, we also said that you're not allowed to marry your brother, and it's some interesting stuff that it mentions. I think it's in Maseches Chulin maybe, but it says I think it's in Chulin. It says that there's you're not allowed to marry your brother's wife, but if they didn't have kids and he passes away, then you're allowed to do yibum. You're not allowed to marry someone who's married already, right? A woman who's married already, but you're allowed to, if let's say she is divorced, if she gets divorced, you're allowed to marry her. And the Torah didn't say once she's married you can't marry her at all. And also a non-Jew, right? A non-Jewish woman you're not supposed to marry, but there's a case where you're allowed to when it comes to war. And we know why the Torah does this because it's a time of war, and in a time of war people take spoils. So therefore, if you're going to say to a person you're not allowed to be with them, they're going to be with them. You say you can't marry them, then they're going to do it anyway, and then they're going to go against the Torah. So because Hashem knows the Yetzer Hara of a person, Hashem created us, Hashem knows how Yetzer Hara works. So He says, I'm going to give you a way to do it, but there's a whole process, and it's very frowned upon. It's not recommended, and we know that the end of that story is not very pleasant.
Tell us the story about the 12 brothers that passed away and the guy had to marry 13 wives.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. So here comes the next part of the next thing where it says that if, let's say, a person is married to more than one wife, and he loves one, he doesn't love the other, right? That's what the Torah talks about. And the laws and how you're supposed to, you're not allowed to mistreat the other one just because you don't like her. You have certain obligations. But this brings us to the idea that of why don't we marry more than one woman nowadays, right? And the reason is, let's read some of the comments over here. For this conversation, Yidden are God's wife, not servants or children. Yes, I mean, yes, that's correct. There's many types of relationships that the Jews and God are compared to. And we're connected to God in all those ways, in different ways, right? Every relationship has its special connection, and we're connected to God in all those ways. So therefore, it's brought down in many different ways.
Yeah.
But going back to this thing over here, so basically, we said there's nowadays we don't marry more than one wife. The reason is because of Cherem Rabbeinu Gershon. Rabbeinu Gershon made a law. He made two laws. Number one, you can't marry more than one woman. Number two, you're not allowed to force divorce your wife. Meaning before it used to be that you can just give your wife a get and she has to leave. Nowadays it's not so simple. You can't just get married and be like, I don't want you anymore. Right? So this is largely to protect the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're able to is if there's 100 rabbis from 3 different continents that...
The only way you could force it.
Right, the only way you can marry another woman and also...
nullify your
I think it's the only way you can marry a second woman is if you have 100 rabbis.
You could marry a second woman if your first wife allows you to.
No, but nowadays you can't. The only way you'd be able to is if you got a heter from 100 rabbanim from 3 different continents.
Hey, people in Morocco have multiple wives legally without any problems.
Yeah, so in Morocco, there are
Jews.
some... Who? What?
Jews in Morocco have multiple wives.
Right,
To this day.
So there are some communities that never accepted it because this was largely the Ashkenazi countries.
Mm-hmm.
But most Sephardim accepted it. But yeah, there are still some that haven't. But we're talking about the people who accepted it. So even then, you're allowed to with 100 rabbis in 3 different continents. But those rabbis it has to be for a good reason. It's not like, oh, okay, let's just get 100 rabbis. They're not going to agree unless it's for a very good reason. So we're going to go just explore some wild stories about many, many, many women who were married to the same man and how it happened. So it happened in the time of Rabbi Tarfon. In the time of the Mishnayos, there was a famine. People were dying of hunger. Mm-hmm. Now, he's a kohen, Rabbi Tarfon, which means that no matter how much famine there is, he's going to get truma. Because you have to give truma, you have to give a part of your produce to a kohen. So what does that mean? He has a surplus, but only people connected to the kohen are allowed to eat it. So he can't give it to any random person. He can only give it to his wife, his children, his slaves.
Only his household.
Right. So what did he do? It says he married 300 women.
Mm-hmm.
And that way he was able to provide them with food and with sustenance. Now, it's a wild story, but in a desperate situation where people were literally dying of hunger, this was a way that he was able to take care of that. He was able to take care of them. He was able to, so it's pretty crazy. And the story that you're mentioning is a story about basically there were 13 brothers.
Hold on a second.
All right. Commercial break, everybody.
How are you, man? How's it going? No, I already left. Thank you. Good shot.
Get off your phone, man.
I know.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so, yeah. What were we saying? Oh, like this. We were mentioning 13 brothers. There were 13 brothers that were, there were 12 of them were married, and they had no children, and all 12 of them passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So now they come to the 13th brother, and they're like, we need a husband, and you're our yavam, right? There's a mitzvah. Nowadays we don't do it, we do chalitza, which is a process of basically divorce in the case of a brother, right? Whose brother passes away, right? But basically they said, we should do yibum. So he says, what do you mean? I can't support 12 women.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, we're going to take upon ourselves Each
support you.
we're gonna take 1 month of the year. There's 12 of us. We're all gonna take upon ourselves 1 month of the year. So we'll have a rotation.
Whoa, what a lucky guy. Okay. Not only does he get 12 wives, but he doesn't have to work a day in his life. All right.
Okay, man.
He must be one blessed guy.
You're
Guys, it's just a joke.
You know how I know that Ilya is a professional? Because we did this yesterday, and he said the exact same thing. So
Because it's true.
Yeah. No, I just want to say, like, we're good actors. We're acting as if we're like doing this for the first
Think
time.
about it. It's every man's dream come true. 12 wives, and they take care of you.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can handle 12.
You're trying to be politically correct because your wife is watching. I get it. I get it.
Oh man. Anyway.
Don't comment. It's only gonna work against you. Go ahead. Sorry. Actually, I got a question.
Yeah.
What if out of all those 12 wives that he's about to receive,
One that we didn't finish the story.
Oh, my question is like, I got this question yesterday, as a matter of fact. Out of all those 12 wives, what if one of them already had a child, but the child passed away before the husband did? Does he still marry her?
Oh no. That's not. No, I don't think so.
No.
I think that once they had a child, it doesn't count. I don't think the child being born and passing away makes a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so he says, no, 1 second. It doesn't help. He's still not convinced. Why?
Mm-hmm.
The funniest reason. He says because in a leap year there are 13 months. So if there are 13 months in a year, then there's going to be 1 month where we're not going to be supported. I can't support 13 women. So Rabbi Yehuda, they took this case to Rabbi Yehuda. Now, see, this was in the times of the Mishnah.
So even once, one month out of a couple of years, the guy didn't want to put in the work. You see how blessed he is? And you're saying, come on, man, it's true.
Listen, you know what? At the end of the day, the burden of I understand it. The burden to support a family is on the man. It's a huge burden, you know. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who was very, very rich, he said, "I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that I'll support
the 13
yeah, I'll
months.
support the 13th month in the leap year."
Uh-huh.
So what happens? And he gives all the women a blessing to have children. They didn't have children yet. So they come back 3 years later in the month the extra month of the year because it's a leap year. And they come to him because now it's his turn to sustain them for that month. They all came. Each woman came with 3 children because he gave them a blessing. He's a tzaddik. The blessing worked. They had a kid every single year.
So 36 kids. Well, no, 13. Oh, more than 36.
No, it's 36.
39.
No, 36.
But 13 times 3 is 39.
No, it's not 13 women. It's 12 women.
No. 13. Because the 13 leap year, remember?
What does it have to do? There's only 12 women.
Right, but leap year you have 13 months.
Yeah, but they're not going to have another kid in the... what do you mean?
Didn't he have 13 wives or 12 wives?
12.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 13.
Yeah. But listen to this. Yesterday...
Yeah.
So how crazy is that story?
How lucky is this guy?
I guess, I don't know.
I'm looking past the whole, mourning situation.
You guys, you want to hear something crazy? Yesterday, Ilya says, all his brothers are dead. Who's gonna get the kibbudim? Who's gonna get all the stuff to do at all the And I told him, you're such a Bukharian. Like, first thing he thinks about,
who's gonna be
or
the
all
son?
these kids. Yeah, like who's gonna be the son? Yeah, who's gonna be the son? Oh man, it was. Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna go to what was the next thing? Let's see. Oh, so there are a few reasons why Rabbi Gershom made this decree. Right? He made a decree that you can't marry more than one woman. So the question is why? Well, what was the reason? So number one, he's called Ma'ar HaGoyla, the light of the exile. And we don't find like any other great leader, great rabbi, ever, that he's called the light of the exile. So the question is why? So it's a very interesting reason which I never heard before, that I saw a few days ago, which is that, and we know of the idea that Hashem practices the Torah in whatever way he does. Right? Hashem puts on tefillin. What does that mean? It says that we are Hashem's tefillin. Right? The Jewish people are Hashem's tefillin. Hashem puts on the talis. What does that mean? Moshe Rabbeinu saw the kesher shel yud. Hashem's the back. All these things obviously are not physical because there's nothing physical about God. But Hashem follows the Torah. So, and this goes to the title of the video, which is that because he made these laws, because Rabbeinu Gershom made these laws, which is that you can't marry more than one woman and you can't divorce your wife by force. So number one, Hashem can't separate from us. Even in Galus, where we're in, it's very, very hard for us, and we're not in our land, and we don't have the Beis Hamikdash. There's this light that shines, that gives us comfort, which is that Hashem is never going to give us up. And Hashem can't give us up because, right, Hashem can't divorce us by force. He's stuck with us, so to speak. And he can't marry another woman. He can't have two favorites now, right? It can't be that he says, okay, I can't get rid of you, I'll just marry another woman. He can't do that either. So we're Hashem's only one. And so Hashem is
stuck with us, for better or worse.
Exactly.
But he did it to himself. But that's the reality.
Yeah, but the truth is, it's already said, we already have that promise, in the Torah that we're going to be Hashem's Segula, we're going to be married forever. But this, I guess, was strengthening that, where it's built into the law of the Torah. It's a halacha that God can't get rid of us. Obviously, Hashem loves us and everything, but it was just, it's a beautiful reason why he's called the light of the exile,
What time period was this?
Rabbeinu Gershom, this was around 1,000 years ago. There's an amazing story, actually, that happened about with him particularly, and it doesn't seem to be any of the reasons we're going to go over. It doesn't seem that it has to do with his personal life. But in his personal life, he suffered very much from the second wife that he married. He married another woman, and his wife wanted him to because they wanted to have kids, like Abraham and Sarah. We'll talk about it. But he suffered very much from that. We're gonna get into that soon. I just wanted to mention there's a podcast. There's a podcast called Mislabeled, and they brought on, I don't want to say the name. People will be able to see it on their own. There's a woman who's very much, she's an advocate for agunas, for women who can't get divorced because their husbands won't give them a get. And I think it's a very noble cause, but she was kind of saying how it's unfair that men have this rule that they're able to be divorced with 100 rabbis from the different continents, but women don't. I just want to say, in case anybody sees this, who's seen that, it's a very backwards approach and look at that, because it used to be that a man used to be able to divorce his wife whenever he wanted to. And what Rabbeinu Gershom did made it much better for the woman. So this law that a man could only get divorced from his wife by force or could only marry another woman with the signature of 100 rabbis from 3 different continents is in support of the woman. So it's not unfair to the woman, it protects the woman. So just wanted to say that because I vehemently disagree with a lot of her approaches. I think her cause is very noble. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Now, let's get into the reasons, the actual reasons why this is so great. Why he felt it was important to make these laws. So, number one is that for priestess. I guess there was a time, I guess you have the idea of Yeridas Hadaris, the generations. We're on a less of a spiritual level. We're a lower spiritual level than before, and therefore there is a chance that people will be promiscuous and people will play. We can marry as many women as we want. It's not going to be a good recipe. It's not good for our spiritual standing. So therefore, better just be married to one woman. Number two is meriva, is fighting. That you have more than one woman fighting over a man. That causes disagreement and unhappiness, and better not to happen.
Well, when it was allowed, you could only marry a second wife and a third wife and a fourth wife if your previous wives or your first wives allowed it.
So
they had to allow it in order for you to get married to them. So once you married them, if there's any machloket, she only has herself to blame because she allowed it in the first place. So therefore, there were really no machloket between them. I'm talking about in the old days when they had multiple wives.
So that is true, but I think that mida oraisa, if a person does the kiddushin, it still counts. I think there were laws put into place that it's only with the consent of the wife. But at the end of the day, the man still has the power to do that.
Right.
So there's that. And even if they did allow it, doesn't mean that there weren't disagreements.
Of course there were. I mean, when you have two different human beings living in the same household, you're gonna have disagreements one way or another. It's a matter of how well you cope.
Yeah, exactly. And then another reason, which is an interesting reason, is because it was so hard on the Jews at some point that it was basically, why should we have so many kids just to create more suffering? So to have one wife, to have a family, and to have children, fine. But to have a setting where you can have 30 kids, or even 25 kids, whatever it is, and to have so much suffering, what's the point?
Well, the Torah says you're supposed to multiply, have as many kids as you can.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an interesting reason, but again, you're talking about very, very heavy persecution. Thank you. Talking about very, very heavy persecution. So, because of how difficult it was, they're saying minimize. Don't bring people into such suffering. I mean, even at the time of Mitzrayim, the Jews of Mitzrayim, there was such a havamina, there was such a thought. Amram separated from his wife, and then only after his daughter said, "You're worse than Parah because you're not even having girls being born," did he go back. But you see that it's something to take into account. Should we bring children into? Imagine at the time of the Holocaust, was it a good time to have children? Not really, I mean, that's very extreme.
I get where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, we still have to do our part in what the Torah says. These are the fundamental things that the Torah talks about. Have family, have kids. This is your main goal. This is what you need to do.
So I think that at the end of the day, you're still doing the mitzvah, right? If you're meaning, first of all, doing the mitzvah, even according to the strictest opinions, is having 2 boys and two girls, and maybe also having grandkids. Like if you don't have grandkids, it could be you're not fully fulfilling that mitzvah, but so to fulfill the mitzvah is 100% being done. The question is, should we be mahader in the mitzvah? Should we take the mitzvah as far as we can, or is this a time not to? So I guess in those times, because of all the persecution of Jews, it was like, one wife is enough.
I get it. It's just that we don't live forever. We can't say, in this generation we should have less kids. So in the next generation we can have more. Who knows whether you'll be alive or you'll have the opportunity to. You only have your own life at your own time. And you need to do what the Torah tells you to do. The rest is not in your hands. You do what the Torah tells you to do. And how it turns out, whether they'll be suffering or they'll be doing better or they'll be more successful than you, it's not up to you. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
It's not up to us. Hashem provides for everybody. Hashem created this world. We need to do what the Torah tells us to do. Procreate as much as you can.
I guess you got to take it up with the Renu Gershon.
Actually, yesterday you taught me something that I had no idea. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know how the king has a limit of how many wives he can have?
Yeah.
Which is 18. I thought it was for all people, for all the Jews. Apparently it wasn't. Apparently it's only for the king to humble the king.
Yeah, so also the king can't be too distracted. We know Shlomo Melech, he married 1,000 wives and it was very distracting. But and he was the wisest of all men,
But ironically so, he only had 2 kids, I think.
I don't know how many kids he had. I think
he didn't have a lot of heirs. He didn't have a lot of kids. Though he had 1,000 wives. And it also says that most of them he didn't even touch.
Well, I mean, a lot of it was political. I mean,
right.
Where to have allyship with all the,
No. That was a very small percentage of his wives. Most of his wives he gathered together because he was trying to gather all those sparks They wanted to bring Mashiach before his time.
Oh, I actually saw something about that.
He wanted to bring Mashiach at that time.
Oh,
Which is why he was gathering all these different sparks of different nations.
I saw something about that.
So he never actually had any intercourse with them, no physical interaction.
Whatever the case was, he also. Let's talk about kings in general, right? Kings in general, the reason why they're not supposed to have too many horses, too much money, is to keep them humble, and they have to focus on their job. And also, so I think also women, I don't know what the exact reason is, but it has to do with that, I think. But what you said is interesting, that a person would think, because it says that once all the neshamas, the souls in bodies, because you have souls that haven't come into bodies yet. Once all the souls come into the body, the Mashiach will come. So a person will think that maybe he should marry as many women as he can, because then he can make as many children as he can. Imagine everybody did that, the souls would come much faster. So therefore, not necessarily, even though that's a very noble cause, but it's not the right way to do it. But very interesting you mentioned about Shalom Ha'ach. This was connected to that. The next reason is that because in those countries, their religion was that it was not allowed to marry more than one woman. So in order not to cause hatred from the non-Jews, say, oh, these Jews, they're going against our religion, so therefore, not to cause any hatred. Which, again, in Muslim countries, in the East,
that was not an issue.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I remember when I was a kid, I went to, you could call it the suburbs, but it was in the middle of nowhere. It was like Amish town. I remember my neighbor took me with him to his uncle's house. We came there and I found out that his uncle had like 4 wives. And one of them introduced herself. Oh yeah, I'm this one's wife. I'm like, okay. And then another one. Oh, I'm this one's wife. And he had like 12 kids running around.
12 kids like, 4 years, right?
The guy was only 20 years old and he had like 12 kids running around.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nuts. That's really nuts. And then there's the last one, which is that really the reason why you can't marry more than one wife is because of the other rule that he made. Because you can't force, and we mentioned this about Hashem, right? That the same reason why he stuck with us, right? Basically that because he said that you were not allowed to divorce your wife by force without her will. So therefore a person will say, okay, I can't divorce her, fine, I'll just marry another one. So therefore he said, no. You can't divorce her by force, and you can't marry another one. That's the last reason.
You can't marry another one unless you already have divorced the previous one.
Well, if you divorce her, you don't have a wife.
Right.
You're not married to anybody, so yeah. But what I wanted to mention, what I want to mention was a story, right, about the Rabbeinu Gershom. Oh, so first of all, I want to say my friend tells me this story about this guy who he was in a situation where his wife, he was married to whatever, it was a very not good situation. She wouldn't accept a get, and it was obviously a case where the rabbis involved were 100% convinced that she was the one at fault, whatever that means, and that he had a right to get married again. So this guy didn't know how he was going to reach so many rabbis. On this podcast that I mentioned earlier, the woman said that they accept DocuSign as a signature, which is like, whatever, now it's so much easier, but I don't know if everybody holds like that. But there are, basically this person didn't know what he was going to do. The rabbi who was involved, who wanted to help him, said, 1 second, this was the time when the kinnis happened. Chabad kinnis, right? So it's like...
You had hundreds of rabbis.
Yeah, you have thousands of rabbis and they're from all different continents. So they just went in the room.
That's a clever way to do it.
Within a few minutes, he had all the signatures he needed.
Why don't these people really take advantage of that? That's a perfect event.
Well, again, you have to understand, this is not a willy-nilly thing. This is not like, I want 100 signatures. Obviously, they explained to the rabbis why it was important. This was something...
Of course.
So it's not it's in general something that's very rarely done. It's in a case where it's not going to get it, but all these different things have to fall into place for people to even agree to this.
All these things came together.
Right. But let's talk about the story. I want to just make sure that I have everything down here. Yeah. So the story of we have some sirens.
Part of living in New York.
New York City.
Concrete Jungle.
What?
Concrete Jungle.
Concrete Jungle? Is that a song?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I know the other song. New York. You know that old one?
Oh, that's Sinatra.
Yeah. But someone made a parody of that. I think Gershon Baruch made a parody with.
Bro, you want to see parodies? Funny parodies? You go on Family Guy. They're nothing but parodies.
Unfortunately, Family Guy is not very family friendly, so
Yeah.
So don't go on Family Guy.
Yeah, don't.
Sorry, Ilya.
It's okay.
Only Jewish stuff. And in my house, when I'm on my phone by mistake, like there's like some kind of you're looking at whatever it is on YouTube, all of a sudden there's like something plays, like quickly scroll away. Like it's like a running joke in our family. This is a Jewish household.
We don't do this here. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe when nobody's watching.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many comments. Wow.
Well, what are people saying?
Yitzi over here says, that's the name over here. I know who you are, but I'm going to keep you anonymous.
Why? The whole point of commenting, they want to be shouted out.
I'm shouting out Yitzi. So his household includes pets regarding Truma. He's allowed to give Truma to his pets as well.
Technically, you're not supposed to have dogs or cats in the house.
It depends. Well, it depends. Well, not in the house. Could be guard dogs, whatever it is.
Right, but that means you have to have acres of land. In today's day,
No.
if you're living in a building, what guard dog? Seriously, what guard dog?
What are the acres? You could have a 5,000 square foot property.
Okay, but you need to have a property. I'm saying for a dog house and for the dog to be separate from where you're sleeping and things like that. You're technically not allowed to have a dog or a cat in the house.
There's many reasons why you're allowed to have a dog. I mean, you can have a dog because if it's a service dog. You can have a dog if it's in a bad neighborhood and you need a dog to be a watchdog. I mean, if you have burglars in the area, a dog is a very good deterrent.
If you live in a building, you really don't have real reasons to have.
Not everybody lives in a building.
Most New Yorkers.
Well, I grew up in LA. In LA, everyone has yards.
But now you live in New York, and do you live in a building?
Well, I never owned a dog. I'm just saying there's many reasons why a person is justified in owning a dog,
But you're technically not supposed to.
Unless,
as you said, there's a danger and you really have a guard dog. But your guard dog is not supposed to be a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie. Let's be realistic. That's not a guard dog.
I'm not getting into this.
Okay. Or having a cat. What, you're gonna tell me you have an infestation of mice? Come on, really? You needed a cat?
By the way,
Come on, let's get real.
Yo, cats do a very good job with mice.
No, they don't. Not in New York, they don't.
I'm telling. Okay, I know people. Listen, I wouldn't buy a cat or a dog. Period.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, there are many reasons.
By the way, guys, I got nothing against dogs or cats. I love dogs and cats. I just learned that you're not supposed to have them where you sleep.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, as they say.
Wait a minute. Didn't they say something about if when Mashiach comes to knock on your door and you have a dog, they scare him away or he won't come knocking or something like that? Something between those lines?
I've heard something like that. I don't know, but there are many. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I personally would agree that having a dog is not something I want to do. I always say if I would own a pet, I would own a baby goat.
That's pretty cool.
And then I would give it away when it got older.
Why?
Because they're cute when they're babies, not afterwards.
And then they're a bird, you gotta clean up after them.
And even though they're kids, they're not my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it? Let's see. What else do we have?
What's wrong with fish?
Fish are fun, I guess.
I mean, you gotta have fish.
Let's see. I think he needs a surviving heir to be chayav and chalitza or yibum. Okay, so maybe he had a kid.
Boo.
Oh, he needs to be, not to be chayav. If he has a surviving heir,
then he can't. She cannot.
I'm not sure what he's talking. I'm not talking about the brother.
He's talking about the brother. Remember, I asked the question. I said, what if one of his brothers, had a child, but the child passed away before he did, and then he passed away. So now his wife is a widow, and she needs to get married to his younger brother because she doesn't have an heir. So my question was, what if they had a child, but the child passed away? Does she still marry the younger brother? I guess he's trying to answer that question.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's. I think, surviving heir.
Right, surviving heir.
Okay, that's a good point.
So that means she can marry him. She has to marry the younger brother.
According to this.
Right.
Okay, interesting. I would have to look into that. Okay, I think if I can do some boy child second mother. Okay, the only animals raise. Oh, so he says that in Gemara it says the only animal you're not allowed to raise is a pig. Yeah, but that's okay. So the thing is that what Ilya is talking about is that should you have a dog in your actual living quarters, right? Raising animals, you can raise them anywhere. It's about living quarters. But anyway, let's get on with the story. So,
and I don't know if the whole pig situation actually applies.
No, pigs.
The reason why I say that is because Israel is one of the biggest exporters
whoever did
of pig.
No,
what?
I'm sorry. I'm saying that they do that, and it's 100% wrong, and they tried it.
But they do.
They also have buses driving in Shabbos. Israel is not at all. I'm sorry. Israel is not an example of what's going on.
Okay, you're right about that. The voice of reason has passed from there a long time ago. You're right about
Let's get to the story of the Rabbeinu Gershon. So I mentioned earlier that he suffered a lot from the second wife. What happened was he was married to a very pious woman, a very good woman, and she they didn't have any children. So she told him, "That's be like Abraham and Sarah, right? They did it. They had it. He married a second woman and he got a child. So let's do the same thing."
Where was she from?
Who?
His little second wife.
His second wife, was from the same country. I think she was an orphan. Her father got killed, or whatever the case is. But she was his first wife found the second wife.
Okay.
I believe that's what happened. And I read a very embellished version of it. Marcus Lehman's The High Tower. I forgot what it's called.
Men in a High Tower or something.
No, not that. That's something else. You're thinking of something very different.
There's a show like that.
No, but it's okay. Kahas sells.
Or something like that.
I know what you're talking about, and I'm not going to give you the attention for it.
I didn't even watch it. Okay.
Anyway, but so basically, it's from Kahas, the novel. Very, very interesting. The part of the 5 novelettes. You can look at it online. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes afterwards. So basically she found this woman. She was very vain, didn't have the best character. She ended up befriending someone in the royal court, very high up there. She wanted to marry him, and they wanted to get
while she's married to the rabbi.
Well, so they wanted to conspire against him, and basically she got him to tell her a secret by nagging him. That got him in trouble. What happened? The king wanted Rabbeinu Gershon, king of that time, wanted Rabbeinu Gershon to make him the throne of Shlomo HaMelech, to replicate it. And he did. Okay. But he gave him very precious materials, gold, silver. And Rabbeinu Gershon told him there's going to be a lot of temptation. I'm getting a call. Hello? Hello? Yeah, what's going on? We're in the middle of doing this. I just wanted to make sure. Can I please? I'm literally in there. Bye. Okay.
I got scared. I thought she was going to tell us.
Yeah, that's why I answered. I'm like, normally she knows like nothing. I thought she was telling me like last time that it's not even live. I was like, it's not. Anyway, okay. So,
For a second there, I thought we were going to have to redo the whole thing.
bro, that's that. I looked at the button again. I'm like, 1 second, like, is it not live yet?
Scary times.
Sheesh. Okay. What were we saying? So,
He wanted them to make a throne, and he said the workers are not the honest people.
No, he said very simple. When you have precious materials, the workers are going to be tempted to take. And he said, I trust you, you'll do it. Anyway, they wanted, so now the people in the court wanted to, they thought that for sure some stuff was stolen. So like, well, we have to weigh the throne. How are we going to weigh it? And only he knew the answer to that. They knew he knew the answer. But of course he wouldn't tell them. He wouldn't get himself in trouble. He didn't want to expose himself to that danger. So they got her to nag him. And he didn't want to tell her, but you know how, when, you know, like Shimshon Agiba, right? His Delilah, right? She nagged him until his life was, you know, he wanted to die already. So she told her. So the same thing is here. She nagged him until he told her. And she went and told them. And how did you weigh such? They didn't have scales that can weigh something so big. How did they do it? Very, very smart. He said you put it on a boat, and you before you put it on the boat, you put a line at where the water is, right? As far as the boat sinks, you put a line there. Then you put the throne on, and you make another line at how far it sinks, right? It's going to sink further. You put a line there. Now you have whatever space between that you
line.
Yeah, you know what the difference is. How deep it went after you put the throne. You take off the throne, you put a bunch of rocks until it reaches the second line.
And then you weigh the rocks.
And then you weigh the rocks, and you can weigh the rocks separately. Very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
So they do it, and gold and silver is missing. So the king, being very fickle, very, very easily swayed, not very strong-minded, weak of mind, says, you're going to have to pay for this with your life. Treason. He stole from the king. So he puts him in a high tower in the middle of the desert to be there until he dies of hunger, thirst. And Rabbeinu Gershom's wife shows up, crying. And she says, I would rather be with you up there and die with you than live alone. He says, what are you talking about? We're not going to die. She said, what are you talking about? You're in a tower. He said, listen to me. This is what you're going to do. And this is so genius. He says, take a woodworm, put butter on it, and attach a string to it. Put a beetle behind it. It's going to want the butter. I might be mixing up exactly what the insects were. I believe it was these two insects. The worm is going to be chased by this beetle, and it's going to go and run away as fast as it can. And it's going to inch upward until it reaches me. Because there's a window.
Right.
Well, I failed to explain how they're talking to each other.
I mean, the tower, you could kind of picture a window. Okay?
Right. So, but there's a window, they're yelling at each other from, right? All these things. In the middle of the desert, so no one's there. And she says, and he says, you know, attach a string to this whole thing, and then, by the time, when I reach the string, when the string reaches me, when the worm reaches me, attach a thicker strand, and then he'll be able to bring it up, he'll be able to form a proper rope.
A real rope, that he could use to come down.
Right. And she sent up food so she could gain strength and whatever it is, and he came down and they ran away.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes actually that there was one real antagonizer. His name was John or Johann or something like that. He actually went to check and see his dead body. He hated Rabbeinu Gershom. He actually got stuck in there when he went to check, and he saw he wasn't there, and the door locked on him, and he died. So he got what he deserved. But Rabbeinu Gershom ran away, and the king wanted him back afterwards. He regretted, everything, and he asked him to come back, and he said no. He said, "I'm not. Fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me twice. No, sorry. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." That's how the saying goes. But and he lived the rest of his life wherever he went. I don't remember exact countries where it was, but people sent him questions, and he was a leader.
So it's his first wife that saved him.
Yeah, his first wife came. Right, his first wife came and saved him, and helped him escape. But this is just a beautiful story.
So I'm guessing his second marriage was more fruitful.
Oh, I don't even know what happened with the second wife. I don't remember. I don't know if it says in the story what happened to her, but She was definitely a no good person, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's what we have for the Parsha, guys. There's so much more. We just based it off the first two mitzvahs in the Torah, but
it's all right. We'll come back around next year.
Hopefully, we'll have many more years of this, and we'll be able to cover everything in depth.
That's right. Are we doing the intro? Come. He's a local celebrity. We gotta get him in here.
Yeah, we got it.
Come in here. Come on.
Talking about the Parsha.
Come over here. Everybody say hello to a very famous Israel. Turn around. Turn this way and say hello.
No, stop.
Come on, shit. You can't wave?
No, I want to. Rabbi,
he said, "What is this?"
I'll tell you what we're doing. This is what we do. We're doing a part. Every week we do a show on the Parsha.
Yeah.
We talk about the Parsha.
What are you talking about?
So, for example, this week we talked about the Cher and Gershon. We spoke about.
What does it do with me? I cannot even manage with one wife.
That's what I said. That's what I told him. He said we had a story of Yibum, a story in Yerushalmi with 12 wives. I said, I can't have one woman, you know what I'm saying? But he thinks it's a good idea. I don't know.
What thing is good?
Because the Torah says you gotta procreate as much as you can. So therefore, I'm trying to get an edge on things. Hold on, what are you doing?
What are you talking about?
We're on camera.
Camera what? What's that?
Rabbi, can you send a
live.
message? Can you say that you endorse what we're doing here? We're learning Torah.
Can endorse what you're doing
He
here.
doesn't even know what we're doing.
We're learning Torah.
Whoa. I've seen Torah. You ever see a Tanakh?
Yeah.
You know, how sure I don't mean you. Now, half the Elef the missionaries, came in with the exact same Tanakh. Exact copy.
Okay.
How did you know which Tanakh is it?
You're right. So you have to.
That's my question.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Well, you're saying in Lashon Kodesh?
Yeah. Exactly same Tanakh. Mamish, you'll check every word. How did you know?
I don't know.
Every now and then, you'll find the comets. You know what comets is?
Okay.
The comets looks like a Salem. They on the comets is like this.
No way.
And they had a little piece on top. So if you look at it,
Like a cross.
It's not like a
Are you serious? Why in the world would they do something like that?
They want the missionaries. They want to bring the Salem in Shmuel. Are you you a Sfari or Ashkenazi? Yes, are you a Sfari or Ashkenazi?
What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, because I see your mind is not working too good.
Really?
Wow, that's racist.
That figures it gotta be Ashkenazi. If it's not working too good, it means you're Ashkenazi.
Oh, okay.
Sfari are strong.
You're fast on your feet, I see.
Okay. So then, think about it. So you have
First introduce
you have to
yourself
watch
to
the
the camera.
show.
Hold on, let him introduce himself to the camera.
What? What's the camera?
Turn around
Right
and
there.
say, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is so-and-so.
Now, good night of Shabbos Kodesh.
Okay, good job.
Have each and every one. Jeder Eid in the world. Those are, they were fortunate to grow up from those that yet have not been fortunate, but they are fortunate enough, and they will become 100% plus. The Ebershter will catch up with them the time that they were missing it. He will pay everyone, every single Eid will have nothing but the best in everything. Begashmis and Beruchnis revealed. Revealed means you'll be able to count on the table. You'll be able to see each and every child of yours that are really, really Tzivus Hashem. And this every one of us should see immediately before Shabbos even.
Amen.
Zecher that from this here, immediately, we are already together. The whole world is together. You see how everyone is coming, and the millions are coming to the Rebbe. Because we are already there. Because it says, when Mashiach will come, don't expect to be, you'll see miracles. The world will continue going as it is. But we are fortunate to see the entire world coming physically. You see them coming to the source of the Chaim, which the Eibishter brought to Moshe Rabbeinu, which today the Rebbe is exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu starts, and he is the one that brings it complete to us. So therefore we should see it revealed, Begashmias HaChove, by everyone of the
Amen.
and everyone that a little not here should be completely here. Take it from Yad Mamash.
Amen. Amen. Who do we have? Who are we speaking to?
My name is Yisroel Shem Tov.
Thank you for that message. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yo, take us out, even though I don't know how you're going to compete with that, but...
Yeah, right?
Nah, I'm
How can you possibly compete with that?
Will you careful 1 second? What do you have to say for yourself?
Thank you.
Come here.
Thank you everybody for joining us. This was our guest speaker, Israel Shem Tov.
Hello.
Everybody knows him, of course. Hopefully you found this video entertaining and informative.
Hey, well, you skipped out me.
Okay, informative and
Entertaining.
thank you very much for joining us. Good Shabbos to everybody. And we will see you next week.
Yes, it's Shabbos. We love you guys.
Smash that like button.
Like, subscribe, and give us your money, please, because on Patreon, because we do a lot of it's a lot of efforts for us to do this, a lot of work, Baruch Hashem. And
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, guys. Thank you.